Hi, welcome to Cheap City. So I've done a few takes this morning. Never happy with what I produce. Anyhow, basically I'm just going to go over some of the controls we've got for Cheap City. Sorry about that. Let's just pin that up there. It'll disappear when I click off, but it'll always pin back to where it should be. Okay. So at the moment, if I click on this building, you can see it's 50 meters by 50 meters and height 31. Excuse me as well, I've got a bit of a cold. So for this example, I'm just going to go 20 by 20. So we've got a nice amount of segments there, but we can up that if we wanted. We can have 12 segments. Yeah, let's go with that. We've got rounding, so I don't want round corners, I want a square building. Let's turn that back to, if you zero that out, well, I guess my minimum value of 1. So if I put that to 2, then basically there's no segments, even though it says it's 1, there isn't any. There's 3 segments there, so you get a nice smooth sort of curve to the building. Turn fall off on. Stories, just put in 500, and I've limited that to 12. By all means, go into the mesh shop, change what you will. Fall off height, so we can change that, invert it, so more like a chimney stack sort of look. By segments, so yeah, you can increase that 20 by 20, so this will give you a lot of windows. Okay, but let's just go to 15 by 15. I'm going to turn the fall off. No, I'm not. I'm going to keep that on. I'm just going to show you in CC Origin. So Cheap City Origin, we've got Cheap City Building, and this is the mesh up basically. Click on the fall off, right mouse, sort of middle mouse click. We can now change that fall off. And now if I come back to here, this is the Modo 12 feature. It'll work in 11, but obviously you won't have that control for controlling the gradient. Okay, I'm just going to go with that. So that's the basics of that. Now, in the next section, I've got a random footprint. So if I click that, basically, yeah, it deletes parts of the mesh to give that random look. And if I lower that down, now this works better with a lower amount of segments. So I am actually going to go back, change that to 5 by 5. Yeah, okay. And it's also a bit faster then. So 20%. So unfortunately it's randomly deleting from the inside. So just keep pushing a bit more. 60 maybe. So get nicer variation. Not keen on that. So I can come back to here. Let's just turn rounding off. That's more like it. Weird funky building there. Anyway, let's take that back to, I don't know, 20%. Yeah, that's a bit more like it. Let's try 25. No difference. 30. No. 35. Because it's a small amount of, there's probably about 30, 40 segments, then obviously there's going to be a high tolerance between each sort of effect, if that makes any sense. But anyway, that's quite handy just to give you some random shape. Ceiling height, 2 meters tall, 1.2 meter tall windows. Group inset. Sorry, in the background there, if you're wondering, that's my CC building 2. So that was just a quick setup. So by F8, that's just one building generated. We're using replicators. Excuse me. Anyway, so roof inset on this one. Yeah. So group windows or not. So that takes it to a more futuristic type building. Thin frame. So just to add a little bit more variation to the buildings. So with that, you might want a thicker frame. and thin frame for that, so you get some brickwork in between each segment. What else is there? Oh, window seed, yeah, so you might not be particularly happy with that. And you notice on the roofing set, because more polygons are being generated to do the internal bit, obviously the order changes, unfortunately. Nothing I can do about that, that's just the way Modo works. But it's fine for most instances. These are not hero objects, they're just random background objects really, or that's what it's designed for. Just take the fall off. That's more like it. Now, I'm just going to delve a little bit deeper. I'm going to finish up now. Excuse me, got a bit of a cold, so I'm sorry about my sniffles and coughs. So I'm going to turn random footprint off, and this is how I started out. I mean, I didn't have this option, but basically I went into my mesh op. So I have to go to my mesh ops folder, and it's delete. I'm missing a delete function by the looks of it. Unless it's moved somewhere else. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to select my index, and if I turn that on, I can change my own footprint. So I can add this selection. So now these polys are being extracted, so I can create my own footprint, and if I want to take that one out as well, so now I get that sort of SketchUp type logo effect. Turn that off, go back. Oh, that's fine. Right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to sort of finish up in a minute. So stories, I'm going to make 5 stories. Okay, no, let's go 7, because I'm going to edit this mesh in a minute as well. So back to items, let's close this down. Right mouse click on CC building, freeze, duplicate and freeze, building 3, put it into the frozen buildings folder, untick that eye so you won't see it, and I'm just going to minimize this, go to my camera view here, right mouse click, add to group, buildings. So now that has come into my scene, and I'll go to render. Sorry about my sniffle situation. So yeah, that's looking all right. You can change the landscape here. So this is a mesh op as well. Fortunately, the way things are in Modo at the moment, windows are not consistent. So it's better if you stay in model mode maybe, and then go to the mesh ops tab, and then we can change the width. Okay, let's go for that. And just while we're here, I'm just going to put building 3 back. Sometimes, so I am creating UV maps on the fly. So in the mesh op it's been created, but it does fail a little bit. So we'll touch on that in a minute. But basically, you can see there it's drastically failed. I'm going to take out, not the top story, not the second to top, but I'm going to take out that one. Yeah, in fact, yeah, let's do that. Okay, and I'm going to add supports in myself. So I'm going to reflection mode, select that and that. Fortunately, you might have to do a bit of tidy up, but as I'm trying to do things quick, I'm just going to bridge. That sort of works anyway. And let's take those, bevel those, and then, because you can't bridge the other side as well as this side, you just deselect and then do that. Okay, bridge. And now we have something quite random there. Let's just get F8. Yeah, textures are bloody awful. I apologise for that. But now that's going to take me into the next step. So yeah, that's all right. Go to UV edit. Now, as I say, I do create UV maps on the fly. It's always called building. You can, if you want, rename that. It might be, no, it's not a good practice, not for building a quick landscape, because if you do, then you're going to have to create more material IDs to assign to them, building 2 UV, building 3 UV. So for this instance, I am going to stick with this. I'm also going to show my replicators, just so you can see. Yeah, okay, so that's a bit of a problem. But anyway, it's created, project, and now we've got something. So I'm projecting with a cubic, basically. So project, cubic, I'm using the same user view map. Now if I press 3 for polygon mode, and just R to scale, and then scale up. I mean, this is black and white, set to diffuse. I'll change that to a bump map because I probably want more displacement sort of looking in the textures. And I'm just going to come back to my render. This is the original building 2, so I haven't UV'd that one properly. That's as is, but from a distance, you probably won't need to do any UV editing. And yeah, it's pretty cool. So I had a real-world situation where I had to create a cityscape, and they're not hero objects by any means, but I think get it there, you know, pretty damn sharpish, with just a bit of tinkering with this and exporting out to a different, I don't know, scenario, a different scene, and then adding some further geometry to like the rooftops and so on. And I may show something along the lines of what I did for a particular project. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And if I go back to my perspective mode, delete, so we're getting some nice variation. And that's Cheap City. So yeah, I wish I could sell it as the LXP, but it's going to be the scene. So you'll get all this, and if there's any problems, at least I could help you out, knowing how I've set all this up. Okay. Thank you. Bye now.